To start off with an introduction of who you are and a little bit about yourself.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm
Can I
Cora
introduce her?
Simmons. I'm a Wailaki tribal member from the Round Valley Indian Reservation. I'm 72 years old. And I've not lived here all that long, per se, but it still is my home. I've been home about 20 years now, been back to the reservation. But the gentleman that raised me was my grandpa, and he was a minister. So we traveled to various different parts of the country in his ministry. So I was fortunate enough to have visited many places within the state of California. And unfortunate enough to have met many different races along the way. I intermingled with all of them in my growing up years. And I think that became a plus for me throughout my life.
Why do you think it's a plus to interact with various cultures and the various nations of the world? What does that do for people's consciousness, or what does it do for us? Or what has it done for you?
Well, it's made me, first of all, we're all human, is the first thing that comes to my mind. And even though the color of our skin may be somewhat different, we're still mostly human, I think. Yeah. Unlike folks here on the reservation, they have not had that privilege, so they become very narrow.
Which is ironic, because in the indigenous culture, the concept of being two-legged is very old to this land. Would you like to address that?
Okay, say that again.
The concept of being two-legged.
I don't quite get you.
Well, so in the indigenous worldview, there's the two-legged, which means all human beings. There's no division in human beings.
No,
They're not supposed to be anyways.
no.
Before, you were talking with us about the Bureau of Indian Affairs under the Department of Interior, and the recent move for the Department of Interior and the Bureau of Indian Affairs to have a program of disenrolling tribal members. Why do you think they do? Why do you think they're doing that at this time? What is their motivation to do that? And how does it affect the people?
Well, I think all too soon we've learned greed and what that entails. So money does wondrous things for us. It makes us disenroll our own people, and that is unfortunate. Unfortunate, because we're giving up our own all for the almighty dollar with the casinos. And I think casinos are a good thing for our people if we can only use it, justice for all.
Are the casinos helping the people overall, or are they hurting the people overall? Or is it mixed?
I want to say for those that have the casinos, gosh, that's a tough one. It could be helping them, but I don't know that it is truly. I don't know that it is. We could be educating our folks with that money, although in Southern California, many of them, I believe, are educating their people and seeing to it that they do get an education. And that part is great, because in this world, you almost have to have an education. You have to have an education to even make it to work in a grocery store almost anymore. But
The education that we get in the school system of the United States, is that all we need to have, or is there more to it? Is there more knowledge as part of the education that we should accumulate as well, or acquire?
say that again.
Is there more to education, in your perspective, than what we get out of the American school system today?
Oh, I believe so. I believe if you're not educated in your own culture, your own traditions, then education means nothing. You've got to remember who you are in order for the education to become meaningful.
Why is it so important? And how, given that we're in a society that has taken many people away from our culture and away from our heritage and tried to assimilate all of us, why is it, what allows people to keep the culture? What allows us to stay strong?
Well, it has to start from your own selves and your own family. I mean, your family will tell you. And generally, we are strong people. We are strong people as a rule. We've just got to keep our eyes focused on who we are, Yeah.
Would you like to comment on the role of the police in American society? We know that you've been in various struggles to deal with police brutality. We know that this documentary has highlighted a lot of families who've lost loved ones to the police. What is your perspective about the police in American society?
I think police have forgotten, the majority of them, that they are to serve us. But anymore, and I think we need to make sure that they know that they are to serve us, and until they come to realize that, we have to make them realize that somehow, some way, and I believe it can be done, such as here in Mendocino County. It was horrible, but sometimes you've got to do your part also in working with the police, I think. And I'm speaking from experience here, such as our Sheriff Allman, who was, I want to think, my worst enemy. But if you can show them the better side of people, I think eventually they will come around. And I don't know how you could do that in the big cities, but I think they're no different than the small cities, that yes, it can be done. Hey, we're all human. We don't need to kill each other. There's no need for it at all. No need for it.
What do you think are some of the more important issues that are facing indigenous people today in the United States? What are some of the most pressing concerns or pressing issues?
Golly sakes. I think the most pressing issue is remembering who we are. Don't never forget who we are. We cannot forget who we are. I always say we're the first peoples, and maybe that sounds racist, but it's the truth. We are the first peoples. And unless we come to honor those first peoples, what good are we? We'll never get there. Never get there. Never.
What would be some of the ideas to how they could honor the first people? In what ways?
Well, for instance, just this event today, it started out calling it the Blackberry Festival downtown. Mainly non-Indian folks, but nevertheless we are a community and we're part of the community. But we sort of got shoved aside. So the natives here said, well, why should we have to go beg for a little bit of piece of a pie down there when we can come up here and we've got it all in this beautiful grove here, and to sell our wares, whatever, because some families, totally rely on that, a little bit of extra money, because we're not a casino group here. So we came up here and started this Namkalt, we call it the Namkalt gathering, for our people here, but we invite everyone. Unlike those downtown, we're not especially invited down there.
I think that's a pretty powerful point that you make, that after 500 years of racism and genocide and theft and so many other horrible things, indigenous people still tend to be very open and very accepting and very warm to the people of the world. Yes. What allows us to be that way? What is in the culture that allows us to be such a warm and loving people?
Well, they call it the savages and all that kind of stuff, but truly we're not. We're not that kind of a people at all. We were never savages. We weren't. The others were. We weren't. But I think maybe going through hard times we've learned to be real human beings. Share, love, share, respect, honor. Yeah. Simple.
Can you speak about honor a little bit more? I sometimes raise that with my students, and many students don't even know the word anymore.
Oh.
And it's rather saddening is that, in American culture, we use that word one time. Mm-hmm. We marry our wives, and we say that's to honor, right? Mm-hmm. But that's just a one-night thing. And as you said, this is a way of life, not a one-time thing.
Yes,
so what is honor?
Well, for instance, my dad here, he's 94 years old. And they have been honoring him more so at every event that he's come to as of late. They've been honoring him, and I think that is so great. And we must learn to honor our elders. We have to. Honor is a special thing. A special thing.
What's the importance of elders?
Well, they've taught us how to live the good life, for sure, the good life. Yes. Without them, what would we be? What would we be?
Would you share a little bit about us as far as the history? Anything from the history that you think is important for the people to know?
Well, history right here. I think there's 7 or 8, some will say 8 tribes herded into this reservation. It was a reserve, is what they called it. And there was an old reservation school up here. It used to be part of the foundation was still standing. I don't know if it is as of late up at the end of the valley, north end. There was a school there, and they took the children away from the families and made them go to that school there, cut their hair off, did all kind of things to them. Let alone taking them away from their families, because supposedly they could do it better. And I had an elder visit with me just a few short months before she passed away, and she would tell how they would throw the babies up in the air and target practice with them. Yeah. And from this school that they made the youngsters go, some would run away to go to be with their families because they would get lonely, heartsick for their families, and they wouldn't find them until in the winter. They'd run, wouldn't find them till come spring, and they'd find their little remains out there. But our history is not a happy one, for sure. But it's true. It's true. It's true. We were not treated very well.
What do you think makes the dominant culture so removed from humanity and honor and the earth and the Creator? What has taken them away from balance?
Money and greed is the only thing I can think of.
Money and
greed, yeah.
How best do we combat greed?
We want instead of this little bit of earth, we want the whole shebang. Don't share it with anybody else. Heaven forbid.
What's the outcome of that? A system that's based upon greed, what will it ultimately do to itself and the people?
Well,